St. Catherine is the capital city of St. Catherine Markaz in the South Sinai Governorate in the Sinai Peninsula, Egypt. It is located at the outskirts of El Tur Mountains, at an elevation of 1,586 meters, 120 kilometers away from Nuweiba, at the foot of Mount Sinai and the St. Catherine's Monastery. Its population is 4,603. History. Pharaonic era. Although St. Catherine wasn't established as a city at that time, it was always part of the Egyptian Empire throughout history, and it was part of the province of Deshret-Rethu. In the 16th century BC, the Egyptian pharaohs built the way of Shur across Sinai to Beersheba and onto Jerusalem. The region provided the Egyptian Empire with turquoise, gold and copper, and well-preserved ruins of mines and temples are found not far from St. Catherine at Serabit el-Kadam and Wadi Mukatib, the Valley of Inscription. They include temples from the 12th dynasty, dedicated to Hathor, goddess of love, music and beauty, and from the New Kingdom dedicated to Sopdu, the god of the eastern desert. Roman and Byzantine era. Located at the foot of Mount Sinai, St. Catherine's Monastery was the start of the city. It was constructed by order of the Emperor Justinian between 527 and 565. Modern township. St. Catherine City is one of the newest townships in Egypt, with all amenities of a modern place. There are several schools, including a high school, a hospital, police and fire brigade, a range of hotels, post office, telephone center, bank and all other important establishments. The township's oldest settlement is Wadi el-Sibaiya, east of the city's monastery, where the Roman soldiers, whose descendants the Jebeliya are, were accommodated. It started growing into a town after the tarmac road was completed in the 1980s and the tourist trade begun. Many of the nomad Bedouins moved to small settlements around the city's monastery, which collectively make up St. Catherine's town. The districts of El Milga, Shamia, Raha and Nabi form the core of the town St. Catherine's downtown. At the end of the tarmac road, where the valleys of Wadi El Arbain, Wadi Quez, Wadi Rahab, Wadi Shrejay and Wadi El Dia connect to the main valley, Wadi Sheikh. There are settlements in Wadi Sheikh before town and other smaller ones in the valleys. St. Catherine is the capital of the municipality of St. Catherine, which includes these outlying areas as well. The town's monastery lies in Wadi El Dar, opposite Wadi Raha. Mount Sinai can be reached from the monastery or, alternatively, from Wadi El Arbain, where the Rock of Moses and the Monastery of the 40 Martyrs are. Geography and climate. Köppen Geiger climate classification system classifies its climate as hot desert. It has the coldest nights of any other city in Egypt. Its humidity is very low. The highest mountains ranges in Egypt surround the town, with many smaller valleys leading from the basin to the mountains in all directions. The township is at an elevation of 1,600 meters. The high altitude of the town itself and the high ranges of mountains which embrace it provide a pleasant climate, with refreshing cool summer nights and excellent spring, while winter days are pretty cold and the nights could reach -14 degrees Celsius, making it extremely important to heat buildings and public places. Different sources give different average temperatures for St. Catherine's town. St. Catherine is considered to be one of the coldest towns in Egypt, with Nekhel and many other places, especially in mountainous Sinai. Snowfalls in St. Catherine take place regularly in winter months December, January and February, yet it also occurs in autumn and spring. St. Catherine town lies at the foot of the Sinai high mountain region, the roof of Egypt, where Egypt's highest mountains are found. Some trekking groups, however, prefer especially the winter season, as they find it more interesting and lovely to hike and climb in these conditions. The town also puts a great pressure on the water resources, as groundwater in the valley is from the mountains. Today water has to be purchased and brought in by trucks. As of September 28, 2011, water from the Nile is being transported to St. Catherine via a pipeline, built with the help of the European Union. practical information and facilities. Bank MISR in mall, cash advances on Visa and MasterCard. Sun Thursday 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. St. Catherine Telephone Central, opposite the main mosque, 24 hours. St. Catherine Post Office, opposite the main mosque, Sun Thursday 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Hospital, opposite Plaza Hotel, Raha Plain. Police stations. Branch at the monastery, headquarters in El Milga district. Accommodation. St. Catherine Tourist Village. El Wadi El Muqaddas Hotel. Daniela Village Street. Catherine. Morganland Village. Catherine Plaza Hotel. St. Catherine's Monastery Guest House. Al-Kham Eco Lodge. Mount Sinai Eco Lodge. Bedouin Camp Sheikh Masa. Desert Fox Camp. Safari Moonland Camp. Raha Plain. Wadi Sheikh. Shops, cafes, restaurants, groceries in every district, hardware and clothes in El Milga, supermarkets in the mall close after midnight, restaurants close around 9 p.m. Transport. Petrol station, minibus station and bus station in El Milga. Small international airport, St. Catherine International Airport. It is located northeast of the city, on the way to Dahaban Nuweiba, at present only used by the military. Religion. St. Catherine is in a region holy to the world's three major Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam. It is a place where Moses is believed to have received the Ten Commandments, a place where early Christianity has flourished and the Orthodox monastic tradition still continues in present day, a place which the Prophet Muhammad took under his protection in his letter to the monks and where people still live in respect to others. Many events recorded in the Bible took place in the area, and there are hundreds of places of religious importance in the city. There are two ancient churches, and the monastery of St. Catherine and the Rock of Moses. Culture and population. Originally Christians, they soon converted to Islam and intermarried with other nomad tribes. Some segments of the tribe arrived relatively recently from the Arabian Peninsula. Their culture is very similar to other Bedouin groups, but they preserved some unique features. Contrary to other Bedouin tribes, the Jebeliya have always been practicing agriculture and are expert gardeners, which is very evident in the wadis around St. Catherine. They have lived and still live in a symbiotic relationship with the monastery and its monks. And even today many Bedouin work with the monastery on its compound or in one of its gardens. There are also Egyptians who live there and work in governmental and public services, and many Egyptians became aware of the importance of that unique, beautiful, snowy city and started to be in close relation with it. Greeks and Russians are also citizens of St. Catherine City and they control the historic monastery. The chilly cold weather of the city, specifically in winter nights, made people used to stay at heated homes early, and keen on growing plants which could produce liquids to warm themselves. The Jebeliya are skilled gardeners and craftsmen who have been building gardens, houses, storerooms, water dams and other structures in the mountains for centuries. The techniques used are very similar to the Byzantine methods, partly because of the natural environment, partly because of the interaction between the Bedouin and the monastery. In fact, they have received seeds from the monks to start crops. They grow vegetables and fruit in stone-walled gardens called bustan or kharm, and mastered grafting where a branch of a better-yielding lowland variety is planted on a more resistant but low-yielding mountain variety. A variety of species of plants and crops grow here, such as almond, because of the moderate climate. Other fruits include apple, pear, apricot, peach, fig, pistachio, dates and grapes. Walnut is rare but grown at a few locations. Mulberry grows wild in some of the wadis and they belong to the whole tribe. Wild figs, tasty but small, grow in many places. Olives are very important, found in many location names. Vegetables are not grown to the extent as in the past because of less water. Flowers and medicinal herbs are grown everywhere. The gardens are usually built in the wadi floors in the main watercourse, and are encircled by massive stone walls. These walls have to withstand the regular flash floods, retain the soil, thus called retaining wall, and protect the garden from animals. Water wells are either built in the garden or a number of gardens have one, but these wells freeze in winter and sometimes in spring and autumn. Today usually generators pump the water, but you can still see many shadoofs. Water is often found at higher elevations, either in natural springs or in wells made at dikes called jidda. The Bedouin built small dams and closed off canyons to make reservoirs. In either case, water is channeled to small rock pools called burqa, from where it was available for irrigation. Water was flown in narrow conduits made of flat rocks, sometimes for kilometers. They are still visible, but today gardens rely on plastic pipes. These gardens are a unique feature of the high mountain area, along with other stone and rock structures. Bedouin houses are simple and small stone structures with cane roofing, either incorporated in the garden wall, or standing alone a bit further up from the wadi floor, away from the devastating flash floods that sweep through after occasional heavy rains. Houses are often built next to huge boulders. Natural cracks and holes in it are used as shelves and candle holders. Smaller rock shelters and storerooms are constructed under boulders and in walled-up caves, and are found everywhere in the mountainous area. Some of them are well-visible landmarks, such as in Abasila or Fas Romana, but most hard to distinguish from the landscape. You can see ancient leopard traps in many places, either under boulders such as in Wadi Talar, or standing alone as on the top of Abu Jifa. A goat was placed in as a bait, and the entrance was slammed closed with a big rock when the leopard entered. There are no more leopards left in Sinai. The last was spotted in the 1980s. In many places you can see big boulders with oval marks engraved on the surface. They are marriage proposal rocks, where a lover drew a line around his foot on the rock face next to his lover's footprint. If the two marks are encircled, their wish was granted and they got married. Wishing rocks are boulders, usually a short distance from the main paths, with a flat top. If you throw a pebble and it stays on the top, your wish will come true. According to the governmental plans, the population of the city is expected to increase from 4,603 to 17,378 in 2017. The increasing numbers of Egyptians living there and visiting the city will succeed in accomplishing that developmental national plan. 3,031 of St. Catherine's population is formed of Jabalia Bedouins, while the rest are Egyptians, Greeks, Russians and Western Europeans. Assuming a natural growth rate of 3% to the year 2017, the Bedouin population would become a minority in St. Catherine, dropping to 36% of the total population if Ministry of Planning targets are achieved. Demographic breakdown: population of St. Catherine by settlement, survey carried out by St. Catherine Protectorate, Abosila, 247, Lower Esboureya, 165, Esboureya Safa, 22, Upper Esboureya, 71, Albion, 47, El Oscof El Hamami, 93, Mekhlafa, 59, El Karazin, 43, Uraha, 166, Rabah, 47, Aramthi, 25, Ez Zaytona, 34, Esedod, 12, Sheikawad and Gaba, 159, Sabaya Safa, 78, Sabaya Soeria, 17, Sabaya El Basra, 61, Numana, 49, Solif, 157, Sahib, 83, Sheikh Mosen, 22, Bayer 84, 178, Lower Nasib, 30, Upper Nasib, 84. Nature. The city of St. Catherine and other close towns fall within the region of St. Catherine Protectorate, which was established in 1988. It is a unique high-altitude ecosystem with many endemic and rare species, including the world's smallest butterfly, flocks of shy Nubian ibex, and hundreds of different plants of medicinal value. The region has been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Area. Some of the species are endangered, but there are many wild animals, birds, flowers to see. There are many Sinai agamas, foxes, and rock hyraxes. Harmless for people, foxes regularly visit the town at night to steal and scavenge. Rock hyraxes are frequenting gardens, and there is a wide range of migrating and resident birds from Europe. Also, there is a large number of feral donkeys in the mountains who migrate to the region and low-lying areas in the winter and go back to graze for the more plentiful summer. Many of them belong to families and are stamped with marks. However, they put a big pressure on the ecosystem, and there is a move to reduce their numbers by the St. Catherine City Council. One of the principal goals of the protectorate is to preserve the biodiversity of the fragile ecosystem, with an emphasis on the Nubian ibex and the wild medicinal and aromatic plants. The St. Catherine Protectorate is another major job provider in the area. Although the number of local Bedouins employed fell back sharply since the initial European Union support ended, according to local sources. Snow is the best source of water as it melts slowly, thus releasing water at a steady pace, replenishing the underwater catchment areas better. Water from rains flows down fast in the barren mountains, which may cause flash floods unless water remains. The views from the highest mountains in Egypt are spectacular, and there are many other natural sights in the Wadi system. There are springs, creeks, water pools, narrow canyons, steep wadis with huge boulders, amazing rock formations, and barren plains with islands of lush vegetation. On the top of the mountains there are many interconnected basins with a unique high-altitude ecosystem, home to the world's smallest butterfly and other rare plant species. The highest mountain in Egypt is Mount Catherine, and there are many other peaks in the area over 2,000 meters. Mount Catherine can be reached via Wadi Owabain or Wadi Shag, either way a full day. Usually the trek makes a circle, with sleeping at the top. There is a small Orthodox chapel at the top. The monastery constructed a small stone hut where trekkers and pilgrims can stay for overnight in the harshly cold weather. There is usually a candle and matches in case one forgets, but one can also leave some if they have too many. There is also a broom and rubbish bins, and people are expected to clean up after themselves. From the peak there are spectacular views over Mount Sinai, and on a clear day one can see as far as Sharm el-Sheikh and the Red Sea. Jebel Abbas Basha is another popular peak. From here one can see the villages and the city as well as the rest of the high mountains. It can be reached in one day, but if one wants to stay for the sunset, it is better to make it in 2 days. Either sleeping on the top or in Wadi Zarmatan or Wadi Tainia at the base of the mountain. A little further is Jebel el-Bab, which could be visited in 2 long days, but better included in a 3 to 4 days trek visiting other places as well. On the way up from Wadi Jebel you pass Ras Abu Walda, a rock formation resembling the head of a mountain goat, from where there are beautiful views to Mount Shomar, another popular peak even further, and the southern ranges. From the peaks of Jebel el-Bab and Bab el-Donia you are looking over Mount Tarbush and can see El Tur and the Gulf of Suez. Under the peaks is the spring of Ain Nagalar. Other popular peaks in the area include Jebel Arma, Jebel Serbal, Jebel Banat, Jebel Sana. There are many small ponds flowing under the rocks in lush Wadi Talar Kibira, leading down to the biggest water pool of the area, Gal Tel Azriq. The blue pool. Its color is actually changing according to the regular floods and melting snow. One brings sand from higher up. The next takes it further down and cleans the pool. It is safe to swim in it. There are permanent pools at the top of Wadi Shag Tainia, the Karas or El Shag, in a dramatic setting. The water from Wadi Tainia drops into a granite pool from which it flows down to other pools and falls into a deep wadi. some places running under rocks, at other places resurfacing again. The water is clean enough to drink in the upper pool. At the beginning of Wadi Shag there is a narrow canyon where there are permanent granite waterpools, from which water is disappearing in the sandy floor at one place and only emerging before the end of the wadi. Water is trickling from the rock into a double fountain in Wadi Chubug. The lower fountain is for animals. Locals drink from the upper one. It is considered safe, although you might need to treat the water. There is also a 1,000-year-old mulberry tree in Wadi Chubug, which is protected by tribal law. From Wadi Chubug you can descend to Sid Daud, a narrow and steep path leading through small caves under the boulders. In the narrow canyon of Wadi Sagar there is another water fountain. Because of the steep path, animals can't reach it and the water is safe to drink. A rarely visited route through Wadi Surda leads through a narrow canyon to Wadi Mathar and another mulberry tree which grows just outside a garden and belongs to everyone.